So here's the question. How many followers do you have total, and how long did it take you to get there?
Yeah, so we're looking probably at about 200,000 followers across my social media platforms, which is, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, now TikTok, to name a few.
200.
200,000
Yeah,
followers.
about 200,000. And that probably took me about 5 years. I started like in 2015 and then gradually just kind of snowballed.
So as those who are joining us today, we have Adrian Borunda, creator of Cigars and Guns on all platforms named, probably many, many more platforms. A lot of Russian platforms, I'm guessing. Across from me, we've got Busy Bee. This is our Going Local podcast. Still working title, probably.
Episode 47, it would still be the...
Yeah, I think the podcast title is going to be working title.
I like that better.
Oh,
Actually, we might have it.
boom.
So, Adrian, we've known each other for years now.
Yeah.
We've developed I would say more of a friendship than a professional relationship, but we do toss a little bit of business in there from time to time.
Definitely.
Definitely from the very, very beginning, we connected from industrial cigar company, but I'm more curious about in this world of small family-owned businesses, local businesses, even corporations, social media is king and content is king.
It is.
So how in the hell can somebody create a 250,000 followers in 5 years? What were some of the things that you've done that you saw work well?
I think just being consistent is the major thing. Just remain consistent in your posting. Of course, it's gotten a little bit harder because of my page. It represents two subjects that are not super popular with the
Silicon
world
Valley.
right now. Yeah, right. So we're cigars and guns, right? If you know the term shadow banned, I'm shadow banned on all my platforms. A lot of my stuff doesn't really show up to my followers. They kind of have to seek it out. So if I post something, it's because of the shadow ban. It just doesn't go on the platform's algorithms to show right away as something that pops up as a new feed, unfortunately. But that's now. Back when I started in 2015, it was a lot easier, and I think that's where the snowball began. I don't grow as quickly anymore. I maybe average 100, 150 new followers per day, when before it used to be like twice that.
Okay. Now it's such a different world that we live in because Biz, when you were running a radio station, it was a different world because that platform, it was
Wide open,
right?
Wide open. And actually, they looked through ingest more because they were trying to build the art of building platforms and getting more followers and everything. So pretty much the floodgates were open. Mm-hmm. But so does that affect people that also tag themselves with your hashtags and all that? Does that also get shadow banned and algorithms mess it up if it's associated with any of your hashtags?
It's those keywords. So anything gun, cigar, tobacco, anything that Silicon Valley does not deem appropriate is essentially shadow banned.
So basically your name
Yeah.
in and of that, Cigars and Guns. For those who are not followers of Cigars and Guns, you definitely need to, because the beauty of a good brand is understanding what they do based on the name.
True.
Yeah.
And you pretty much got that nailed.
Yeah, and it started as a passion. I was at a ranch, at a buddy's ranch in South Texas, and we all smoke cigars. We shoot guns. We were there for a hunting weekend, and I started taking pictures. We always took pictures, and I thought, and Instagram was, kind of. I was on Facebook for a long time, but Instagram was all about pictures, and then so I started the page just to see what what it would do, and people started sending me their own pictures, and I thought, hey, this is a thing here. I think I got something here. And it, like I said, it snowballed from there.
Well, and what I see here and where it makes sense is the world we live in is, especially now that it's moving a lot to YouTube, you have this term content creator. But you're not really a content creator. You do create a lot of content.
Yeah.
But you have mastered content curation.
There you go.
So how do you, and I don't know, you tell me if that's fair or not, but I feel as though you use a lot of reposting, which is really cool because you start creating this community. Do you think you could have kept up and grew to the level where you are today by being a content creator? Or do you still classify yourself as a content creator?
Yeah, I'm still in that classification, and most definitely if I would have just kept on with my own stuff for sure, because in fact, just this past weekend, I was nominated for this thing called the Gundy Awards, and it's a group of like-minded folks, all in the gun industry, and those of us that were there was, I don't know, maybe 50 or 70 people that were nominated for different types of things, but we're all content creators, and those that do their own creation, just have a YouTube channel. Yeah, I mean, it's hugely popular, and yeah, I could definitely do that. And I'm trying to grow my YouTube page now, just trying to figure out, where it's going to go and what's going to happen, in the world of Silicon Valley.
So speaking about just we'll see where it goes. It's cool to see that the path, even over the past 3 years of us meeting each other, watch what your path has done, like and where it's taken you and where it's going to take you. We had a vacant year, but in there, I think this weekend you were shooting giraffes with tanks. Is that what I saw?
I mean, didn't shoot the giraffes. It was all part of the ranch there in Uvalde, Texas. It is a hunting ranch, and he's got, I think, 90 different species of animals that are huntable. The only ones that are not huntable are the giraffes and rhinoceros. But everything else is free game if you have the money to.
There's a rhinoceros on this man's property.
There's
rhinoceroses.
Several rhinoceroses. He's got a white buffalo. He's got a couple of white buffaloes that I've never seen anywhere before live.
He got a big ass doggy door.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And real tall fences.
Yes.
And yeah, this guy's motto when we met him, Brent, he's of course he's wealthy, but he says, a lot of guys like me will buy Ferraris. I buy tanks. I think he's got 12 tanks now.
Did you drive one?
Yeah, I've driven them before. The first time I went in 2019. This time we just rode on it, but I got to drive one before. It was a Leopard, some German Leopard tank. Man. Yeah, it was so cool. Yeah.
So how do you balance? Because you also have a day job.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people in this industry, in this world that we live in, are balancing their day job with their passion. Mm-hmm. And you have been successful in your professional world, but you've also been successful in growing your passion.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What can people learn from what you've done? What are some of the landmines you've stepped on, and what would you do different?
I probably wouldn't do anything different, but what I will tell you that, going back to my initial comment of being consistent, it takes a lot of time being on your phone, on your laptop, or whatever it is where you specifically post for your social channels. My wife Kathleen would always not make fun of me, but she would make the comment, get off your phone, and I'd be like, this is my life. My day job, is running a group of developers that do emerging technologies, and we build apps. We build, other programs that, utilize the phone. So when Kathleen tells me, get off your phone, it's like, I'm working. This is my life. I'm sorry. She understands that now, but not in 2015. It was a little bit different, but yeah, you just got to remain consistent and just kind of do your thing.
So if somebody had a passion, if they were just passionate about whatever it is, what suggestion would you give them to actually start as far as the direction of the content? Like, is it because some people have excuse me, they have a battle with showing their personal life. That's kind of like when IG first started. It was all about me. Remember, everybody used to take pictures of food. Mm-hmm. Now they're going back into cigars, everything. Mm-hmm. Is there a balance with it, or is it strictly well, if you look at your content, it is a cigar with a gun. Everything is very consistent. But for the person that started off like me, you may not know this. Like, I love model trains. I haven't done anything with them in a long time. My wife thanks God because of things like $10,000 when we get into it. But model trains.
Yeah.
How would I start my model train IG or social media content? What would be your suggestion for someone wanting to start something like what you do?
If that's something that you already are into, that you like specifically, model trains, I'm sure you've done or you've looked at other pages, right, and see what they have. Do something different. And, whatever that means, it's maybe different backgrounds, maybe stop motion, videos. When I started Cigars and Guns, I would repost other people's photos, but I would doctor them. I would add stuff to it, maybe different backgrounds, filters. I quickly learned that people don't like filters, like heavily filtered photos.
Correct.
And back in the day, that was the thing.
Because it was the thing.
Yeah. But yeah, just do the photo different than everyone else is doing.
One thing I noticed about the photos you repost and some of the ones create, you are very good at composition. So I can tell that you do take time to situate it, you look at the environment, you put the subject in an environment. Because how many pictures of a gun and a cigar can you take and make it interesting?
Right.
So that has to be a challenge.
It is.
And you do a very good job. And I think a lot of your followers do a great job. I've seen beautiful compositions.
Yeah.
And that's something that I guess everybody learns and just falling in the feng shui. Because if you go through your timeline, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Are you still doctoring up photos that come into you?
Hardly not, because as Busy said, the folks are already doing it. They're getting the composition. They're coming in perfect. I don't have to do anything to make it any more different.
But are you getting submissions, or just is it the hashtags and you're looking? So people are like literally trying to be the top dog on your social media because they know if it makes the cut, or is that kind of the following you've created? Everybody wants to be as fancy as they can with whatever they have.
Yeah, it's both, like submissions, DMs, and the hashtags. And it's funny because I don't know if you went to my page and you just showed me a picture. I can tell you whose that is. Just by the look of it, it's interesting how I can, just see that.
Now, do you activate these? Biz, you actually brought up a good point that had me thinking. Do you reward people for putting it together? Do you say, here's our top creator of the month, here's our whatever we do, or is it just basically that accolade for somebody? And this could come to a business perspective too, where if you have a live stream, if you have a fill in the blank, just that simple attaboy, here you go, good work. That little pat on the back keeps everybody engaged.
Yeah, it's. I think it's just a matter of them, making it to the page, and then some folks. I mean, their photos are so good that they're probably on there weekly, just because. But other people will DM and, hey, I would love to be on your page. I'd love to be featured, and that's what they're looking for.
So from a social media growth perspective, and trying to find that balance of this is my life, I get a paycheck from my job. I'm not, especially at the beginning, I'm not getting a paycheck from doing what I need to do to build it. As a lot of people are doing right now, is they're working their ass off and they're not getting paid a dime, but that future endeavor is possible. Do you see now, or was there a point that you started getting people, a break point where you started going, at this many followers, I started having people reach out to me. I was able to sustain this program, because I wouldn't imagine you'd keep doing it to post other people's photos just for free because you like photos of cigars and guns. It had to at some point at least turn slightly lucrative or into a good opportunity that you define success and it met it and continued to grow.
Yeah, and the one thing you'll know about my page is that I don't do reviews. A lot of these other social media pages will do a review, which means a company will send them a product either to have or just to simply review, and then you send it back. And I mean, I get asked, that weekly. I'm vetting a cigar company now. I'm trying to just get some information on them, but a lot of times the cigars that I do mostly post about are just my own personal favorites. Mm-hmm. Once in a while, I'll put down, like somewhat a review, but you've never seen on my page where this is the Byron and it's, this filler and this wrapper and, buy them at this certain location, things like that. But sometimes I'll throw in that type of information, but doing the actual reviews, I have not done.
Now, that's something different. Do you think that's actually added to the exclusivity of that is added to your value? Because you don't do that now, everybody, because of the popularity of your following, they're trying to be the first one to be reviewed or get in, because now, just based on what people see in your social media, it's an opinion thing. If they see a cool gun or a cigar or whatever, they see the influence. That's the word I'm looking for, the influence you have. So I think that sounds like it's something different because you're not doing what everybody else does.
True. Yeah. It is different. And getting back to your original question, where you're asking about like monetization of the channel, right? Yeah. Again, going back to people sending me DMs asking me, hey, if I send you this product, can you do a review, and then how much do you charge for that? And I've done that a couple times. I don't have anything set. They'll ask me for my price sheet, and things like that, which I don't have. But that's part of the reason the YouTube channel is being set up, because that's really where the monetization is. Mm-hmm.
So to this point, you're just now making that pivot to, okay, we're going to set up, in the monetization you're looking for, is that going to be inside of YouTube that will naturally be built into there, because you can become monetized and you don't have to chase advertisers, they chase it for you?
Right. Yeah, and then I'll use the huge following that I have already with Facebook and or Instagram to, shoot them over to YouTube that way.
So you build that up and then you make now, I would be remiss to ask, because this is where the world is, but what's the most tactful way to ask this? With the politics that is currently out in the environment we live in, and particularly within YouTube, and what we're seeing things happen of people being demonetized, deplatformed, shadow banned, stuff that you are very, very familiar with. Mm-hmm. How nervous does that make you to build up something knowing that at some point some 26-year-old kid can go, yeah, that's problematic.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Yeah. I can tell you, I don't know if it's luck or what, but all of my, I'll call them peers, all of my peers in the, regarding the gun industry have all received messages from either Facebook or it's the same company, but from the platform saying your channel's being risked of being shut down because you're not following our practices and policy and whatever they posted, but it's just regular. And these are guys who are like reviewing a gun and things like that, which they've done for many years, and just for some reason that particular post is shut down, blocked, and they get their channel suspended for a little bit. One guy who had well over 200,000 followers got his page deleted because of that, and I have not once received I'm not following the protocols and your page is going to be shut down. I don't know why.
I think it's really because you are keeping it pure, clean, not opinionated. And the way that you're doing it, it's not allowing anybody the avenue to say, hey, because you're just pretty compositions and It's kind of it. I mean, it's the silent movie. It's the unspoken.
Yeah, I think that's a big difference because those who are listening, those who are watching, pull up on your phone Cigars and Guns now. You'll see, because I know there's a big element of promotion of these things they find problematic, where yours doesn't necessarily promote it. It gives an avenue for people to share. But why I ask that question is because for many people, we see these industries within whiskey, within firearms, within, fill in the blank, where regulation is getting tighter and tighter and tighter in the political sphere around what people may want. I mean, it could be into fashion, which could be people's passion businesses that could potentially be locked down because that's the way that the society has moved. And I would imagine it almost is this slow moving tidal wave that 5 years ago, it wasn't the same way it is now.
Yeah.
So I see that as really a danger to someone who's going in there, and some of the things that maybe you've learned from or other people have learned from to get around shadow banning or to get around these things because someone else may find it as, I keep using the word problematic because I think that's what they use. Yeah. But to be able to continue to do the thing you want to do and grow it, but then know that there are these private companies that have ungodly amount of power.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know, from your friend who was shut down, what has he done to pivot at that point?
Well, what these guys usually do, they'll have like a backup page. So he had a backup page, same platform, still doing the same thing. And so before he was, his page was deleted, he just said, hey, follow my backup page. It's only at the quarter of the size that we had before, but the guy's super huge on YouTube already. But yeah, this was his Facebook and Instagram page that was deleted.
Biz, from a radio perspective, did you ever see that type of stuff where they didn't allow you to bring a guest on, they didn't allow you to bring a music artist on because they were quote unquote whatever they want to call it? How did you see that play out?
So, yes, that happened several times, and for me, it's because the person making the decisions was not the demographic. All they were going by assumption from the outside in. So this artist, especially with rap music, this artist couldn't had a strong, like, even though he wasn't it, but if you think of, I'll give you a live example. Kendrick Lamar performed on the Grammys on CBS, and Kendrick is very, very outspoken and militant when it comes to Black Pride, things like that. So the song he was performing, he was rocking, did his thing, said nothing as far as vulgarity, but he made a very bold statement in the word, and all of a sudden, what they call the 7-second delay, boop, went off. Then it came back, went straight to commercial. And they censored him. He wasn't saying anything negative, but just that one person with an opinion didn't agree with it, and he had the power or the ability. We were like, nope, you can't have that artist, you can't have that artist, you can't do whatever. Like, why not? You literally have Marilyn Manson coming to the studio with one eye green, one eye blue, bloodied up, carrying dead kittens, and that's cool. But if I have an artist that's ever said booty or butt or something like that because you heard on the news somebody had an opinion about him, but you don't know who that person is, Tech Nine. So you get mad at Tech Nine because you don't get them, but you can have Marilyn Manson next door and it's okay. So I just say that a lot of times when you're dealing with political and you're dealing with people that have the power that their opinion supersedes everybody else's, and that's what happens. It's just like religion. It's like anything else. You have a majority. It's whatever way the wind blows, as far as I'm concerned. You go that way. I love firearms. I love cigars. I think it's cool. But the way that these are being displayed is no more different than me taking pictures of model trains or cars, all that stuff. What is the difference? It's not the same opinion as if you would look at a video game. When a lot of things happen that are irresponsible with firearms, they go straight for Call of Duty. It was because he plays Call of Duty. There's a bunch of people that play Call of Duty, and I wouldn't deem that person to be, dangerous. There's so much more to it, but everything has a scapegoat. Everybody needs a scapegoat. Yeah. And like you said, sometimes it could be jealousy. It could be dime dropping. That person's channel could be so popular, but because this other person's channel isn't, We don't know if you dropped a dime. You don't know whatever. So you're kind of out of everybody's way, and you're humbly, tastefully just displaying different pieces of arts in well compositions. You're not bothering anybody. Yeah. You know, like Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. Mm-hmm. You know, and as you're getting bigger and bigger and getting a bigger following, and you're going to different avenues. You have a podcast, you have a YouTube channel, and you're doing these things, but you're still not treading lightly, but kind of something that I've learned from Brandon and how we do, you know, with Go Local and some of our other clients. You do it tastefully. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You don't bother anybody. You don't get in anybody's way, and you do you. Normally, people don't bother you.
Yeah, I like that, and you're definitely right. When I would say my page is tasteful, mm-hmm. And then I'll even throw in that I'm not political. I think maybe like a year or two ago, and I forgot what the post was, but it was something political, and my followers hated it. They hated it,
even though they probably agreed with your.
Yeah,
with whatever it was that post was.
Most definitely, and it was the comment, and I still remember clear as day, was, I come to your page to see firearms and/or cigars. I don't need to see anything political because it's everywhere else. It's on the TV, it's on Facebook, and it's everywhere else, right?
Which goes right back to what you guys have both been saying, which is just follow what you're doing, and mow your own lawn. Yeah. Focus on what you're doing and let everyone else duke it out, because I think you're exactly right. How genuine your content, how genuine your page is. And you can feel that because you've done another phenomenal job of partnering with the right people. Yeah. And I don't think no one does anything alone. No, there's no great person, man or female, that's ever done anything alone. And I think, how did you identify, as you were growing, how did you identify who to partner with? I know you partner with United Cigars from the cigar front. You have Brownells on the firearm side of things. How did you decide, yes, that's who I want to partner with?
I vet the company just like you all vet the cigars. You may have a great product there in front of you, but if the cigar manufacturer, the cigar owner, the cigar reps are not up to par or up to your standards from an industrial perspective, you probably won't bring that cigar in. Mm-hmm. And so I take the same approach. Luckily, Brownells reached out to me, and which I thought was a hoax. I thought it was like spam. When Josh sent me an email, he knows the story. I've said it many times. He sent me an email, and I sat on it for a week.
And you're speaking about Josh Coburn, yep, who is one of the main representatives of Brownells. Brownells is one of the largest gun parts manufacturer, yep, in the world. Period.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so you're taking a top dog reaches out to you, yeah, hops in the DMs, yep, and you thought it was spam.
Yeah, I thought it was spam. I thought it was a joke. And, again, like I stated earlier, I'll get DMs and emails weekly from different companies, mostly small companies trying to reach a bigger audience, right? Get on, yeah. Now, I'm thinking, Brownells, what the fuck they need me for? Mm-hmm. I mean, what can I do for them? So I sat on it for a week, did like an email back, just like super simple, short, just like, hey, what's going on? What did you have in mind? And then Josh wrote back and said, let's set up a meeting and let's talk about, what you can do for us and vice versa. And maybe a week later, we set up the date and the time. I think I'm sitting here, and I call and it goes to voicemail. So again, I'm already iffy to begin with. It goes to voicemail, and the meeting doesn't happen. Josh was traveling at the time. He lost cell service, and we eventually got back on the phone and met, and from there it was just magic.
It is, and I've been able to witness this, the magic of a really solid partnership. Yep. Where you find a partnership where both people mutually benefit. You find where it's a two-way road. Both parties can grow. And to me, that's just such a cool thing, because they've helped grow what you've done, open the doors to a lot of people, to a lot of experiences. And so when you look at more lasting relationships, that's got to supercharge your passion for what you do, because you get that validation that, holy shit, you're doing this right.
I think it also proves that your method is the correct path to follow. Greatness finds greatness, steel sharpens steel. And if it's working because now you're being recognized for what you do by humbly doing what you do, but now other people, birds of a feather. So now you're attracting the right ones, and you have to vet them and you have to look, but it's just, if you keep your path, everything else will fall into place. Yeah. If you do what you know how to do, everything else that's supposed to be will be. And there may be bumps in the road and things like that. But so for anybody that's listening or watching that's starting, once you find a path, you stay humble with it, you keep moving. This is a testament that everything will fall into place, but you do have to keep at it.
You definitely do. Yeah, you have to keep on top of it. And we're talking, morning to evening.
And so I think getting into a little bit of the meat and potatoes of that, what is your post schedule? How many times are you being active? How many times should someone who's looking to grow their following, grow their pages, how often should they be active? And in which way would you identify which path and which channel would you go to?
Yeah, I would say if you're just starting out, or even if you have somewhat of a following now, post as much as you can, whenever you can.
Twice a day, 3 times, 5 times a day? Just go for it?
At a minimum, 3 to 4. At a minimum.
Whoa.
And if you could do more, then by all means do more, because that's going to set the algorithm and whatever, these companies have in the back end that, promotes the photos and whatnot. Yeah.
Now, 5 years in, what have you learned? Because I know for a fact that they switch algorithms up all the time. Yep. So are you able now to recognize when that happens? Is it just the analytics that you're looking at in the background to tell, okay, we're switching up here? So, and being that your material is consistent, do you ride the wave? Do you adjust anything? What do you do when you know there's a shift in things as much as your stuff is being seen? Do you do anything, or you just keep on going? Do you double up on posts to kind of counter that? How do you handle that?
Yeah, so now I'm not as, like the metrics, I don't look at metrics anymore. I used to. At the very beginning, that was the premise of how my page got so big, because I was posting all the time, and I was reposting pictures all the time, because that was the thing back then, is like the whole repost thing. And then more importantly, going out to other people's of the same like material and then posting on their stuff. Comment on anything on trains. Go to all the train pages that you see
and be a part of that community.
And be a part of that community, and ensure, and DM those guys and say, hey, would love if you reposted my stuff. And that's real important too, is you enter that community and reposting stuff from like the bigger channels. That's why some of these guys that are trying to grow, they'll come to me just so they can get the notoriety that, Cigars and Guns posted this guy's photo. I must follow that guy now. Mm-hmm. But again, I don't I used to ride that wave. Before, it used to be, you could kind of tell like when something changed. But again, now it's so frustrating that I stopped looking at the metrics.
So you just stay consistent, stay on the path.
That's
like
it.
The stock market, just let it ride.
Yeah. And then when they took away the like count off Instagram, I don't know, I can't tell a lot of times how many likes my photos are getting, unless I go into the metrics. But at the surface, you can't really tell anymore. Mm. And again, it's frustrating. That's why I stopped looking at it.
Yeah, the thing that amazes me, I've said it before, the thing that amazes me is you're talking about posts 3 times a day, 4 times a day. When do you see this dude on his phone? Like, never.
I haven't.
He's here and engaged in
everything else, yeah.
Are you using a program? No. Are you're posting straight native? Are you just...
It's all me, yeah. It's all me, it's native. But this is my solace. When I come here, it's my time to relax. It's my element. I should be taking shit ton of cigar photos, which I could, but I come here to relax.
So let's talk about that. When do you turn it off? not the channel, but for you yourself, because like we're all kind of obsessive with everything we do, and we all have spouses where they're like I literally got yelled at mine last night, like, yo, it's 2:30, go to bed. You're still cut it off, but then I'll get in bed and she's on her phone researching something for her company. I'm like, you just told me to go to bed. She said, I didn't say you had to go to sleep. Just go to bed. But it's just like, when do I've noticed, especially working with this young man over here, and he does a great job of turning it off. When you have to, because if you obsess over too long, you don't want to burn yourself out from it. Like, so like when like you said, you come here, you actually do need to take, I'm not saying be mindful of it, but yeah, did that take a while to learn how to turn it off, to take a break from it?
Yeah, most definitely. If I'm home, I have to mindfully tell myself, put the phone away. But at home, the phone is always near me, and if I get a little, message or something, I look at it and I have to react to it. But like towards the evening, I know I'll completely try to shut off right before, going to bed, whatever the time that may be.
Unless you do like me and go to TikTok and go down the rabbit hole, and then 3 hours go by.
I don't do that specifically, so I won't do that.
Oh my God.
I'll save my TikTok binges for like lunchtime.
So you're talking, and that's the one thing that I was curious about is, are you pretty regimented when it comes to, okay, 9 o'clock, I'm hopping on, I'm gonna make my post. 11:30, I'm making my post, and you just know, okay, I have this 5-minute window, I'm getting in and I'm getting out.
Yeah. Again, when I first started, I was more regimented doing that. Before COVID, I used to wake up at 5, get ready for the day, go into the office by 7. I would have 2 posts before leaving the house. I'd grab a coffee, at the office, and then do another post there, do a couple during lunch. And then you have to think, if you're in our time zone, right, what people are doing at certain times. 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, they're possibly getting ready, maybe, sitting on the toilet, post, because they have the free time there. Lunchtime, you're hanging out, eating a burger, whatever, you're on your phone. There's some content there to be had. Between 4, like dinner time, that's another time. People are eating dinner. I mean, not us, and probably not y'all, but a lot of people nowadays, they go out to dinner and like go to a restaurant. All the kids are on their phones. Parents are on their phones. That's not the time, but it's a good opportunity for social media people to put the post out.
Mm-hmm. That's really literally when all this came out and I started studying Facebook posts and all that stuff like that. Facebook advertising, that is social media 101. Mm-hmm. The best time, you can Google it, the best times to post social media, and you hit all of them right on the head. That is the perfect planning, but that is still a sign, and it's a job. So you have to be mindful, you have to be on point, on spot, and everything. But there is a quitting time. There has to be a quitting time.
There is for me now, but if you're trying to hustle and you're trying to grow something big, there is no quitting time.
Yeah, you see that because how much time is just sitting in front of the computer of just grinding what people do on their day to day or whatever that is. If they're doing a strictly digital, especially if they want to grow a platform, well, you got to get to work.
Yeah, and you know this. I mean, when you're editing your videos, that's why I've never done it, because it's hard.
It's tedious.
And it's very tedious, and it takes a long time. I don't have the span to do that myself. But yeah, I've seen you, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
I finish. That's when you get it. That's kind of my normal time to turn in all my work. And it's because I do take time to spend time with my kids at home. And it's not just, get some quality time in with them before they go to bed. So my work hours are normally, I start work if I'm at home after 9 o'clock at night. And it's vampire hours, because then everything is quiet, it's zen, and now I can really focus on what I need to do.
Yeah.
And that's just, but when you do what you love, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. And if you're passionate about something, if you have something that you're really on about, you don't notice the hours like that, because that's just your kind of lifestyle and what you do. So as you've gone with this and it's starting to grow, has anybody approached you and, hey man, help me grow my channel? How do you do? Like, are you looking for people who want mentorship? Are they getting you, are you getting bombarded with help me do what you do?
I have not. I have not received that ask yet. Like going back to Brownells and how they reached out to me, Brownells curated a group of individuals that are all like-minded in the gun industry. We are mentors to each other. So every year, in the last 3 years, minus 2020, Brownells does this thing called the Social Summit. And then we go to a remote location. Last year, or in 2019, we went to Zion National Park. All paid for, huge house, and a bunch of content creators lived under this house for a few days. We did hiking and all sorts of cool stuff, but we sat down and talked about our channels and said, I saw that you did this. How do you do that? And so we brainstormed, kind of sit there and just kind of figure out stuff. So we have this nice knit group of mentors to each other that is pretty cool.
So what is next for you? What does the future of Cigars and Guns look like?
The amount of people that I've met just because of my channel is astonishing. And I've met so many people such as yourselves because of my channel, right? And I've met so many great people and a lot of opportunities have presented themselves. But for me, I think it's a gun range. And you and I talked about this, and even meeting the folks here and having them as mentors as well is truly a godsend.
I'm looking forward to that.
Me too.
Perfect. That's so perfect.
Yeah, I wish things were moving much quicker, but the price of land out here is crazy.
Yeah.
Being in North Texas, and I'm trying to keep it local to Salina, where I live, but it's grown so big right now that everyone is pretty proud of their property there, and it's millions upon millions of dollars that these people want for their land, and I'm not about to fork over that right now.
Mm-hmm. Man, that's so for those who are watching, those who are listening. Where are the best places for them to find you, to follow you? What can they do to support you?
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, and then YouTube. Yeah, check us out on YouTube. We started a podcast here recently. Thank you to Busy. He produces everything, so the quality of the podcast that you'll see, very similar to this one, is the kind of quality that I wanted to put out, which is why I have Busy doing all my stuff.
I approached him because I was utterly shocked with all this that he had. He didn't have one prior to it, like already. I'm like, I was kind of, hey man, by the way, do you have? He's like, no. I was like, what?
Thank you for pushing me on that, because it's always been a thought in my head, but
you just got to go.
And I could have easily just put up my cell phone on a stand and recorded it that way, but everyone else is doing that. Mm-hmm. How many? Excuse me. There's a lot of people that have that produce their own and look so professional, and these blue lights behind me, I can't wait to see it, because that's what makes video production and a podcast or video podcast that much more interesting.
Mm-hmm. I see what's dope about his though. When the weather gets nice, got a few more weeks. Like we're on this beautiful patio, smoking Adibes and shorts, and people come by, and it's just a whole different realm. And the sun sets as we're filming, and it's just so many things that make it different. And I think my biggest obsession with wanting to team with you and do that was to add the quality to it, but it is keeping that bar there, because you have works like anybody. Just go to Cigars and Guns, and it's not about, oh, there's a gun and somebody shooting. No, it is works of art.
Yeah.
The first time that you introduced us to like the Cabot guns and things like that, and you're seeing these works of art, and I'm like, wow. Like, and there's weapons that I've never even knew existed that are just incredible. It's art. I literally just compare it to art. And that's the way you want to approach it. That's how you look at it. It's not about the political point of view of what this thing can do. No, look at the craftsmanship, look at the work with that. And then you get into the cigar part of it. Like, we don't even really talk about the cigar part, but we live it so much that even the cigars themselves are works of art displayed with another piece of art, that it just all fits perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Yeah, and that's what allured me to the art of cigar smoking, because the passion behind it. You sit down, everything from just getting the cigar, cutting it, lighting it, that whole ritual, and then you start to relax, and you're like, okay, this is my zen.
These are two things I think you never take for granted. You appreciate a cigar, and you appreciate a beautiful piece, a firearm. You don't take them for granted.
It's tactile.
Bam.
Yep. So for those who are listening, be sure to follow Cigars and Guns on everything. Watch out. Go subscribe to that YouTube channel. Let's get that thing bumped up. And
check out on YouTube. We have all our podcasts up there. Brandon was our first one that we did there in the infamous patio, which
love it.
We did some upgrades to it, and can't wait to the weather.
I'm moving in next week.
Better.
Just like Kathleen knows.
We have an extra room. You're welcome.
I'll share it with Bo if he wants to scoot over a little bit. I
wouldn't mind
no
that.
problem. Good with that.
thank you so much, Adrian. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, Brandon.
Of course.
Until next time.
Until next time.
There it is.
Adios.
Cheers.